Okay, so the first part of this lesson is the Desmos activity, which you need to click on. It says Part 1, Desmos on Quadratic Transformation. So you need to complete that before you watch this video. Okay, so once you're done with that, then now we're going to take some notes. And if I uploaded this document, but if you can't print it, then just watch and I'll tell you when you should start taking down some notes. Okay, so we looked at vertex form of a quadratic function, and so it says here f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And the Desmos activity you just did showed you how the a, h, and k values all change the shape of the graph. So here I'm just going to go through each piece to review. And every time we're going to graph the quadratic parent function, which is just f of x equals x squared. So I have that already graphed here for us. And the a value out in front is 1, it's invisible, and then your h and your k values are 0. So that's why it's just x squared. And what we're going to do is look at what that a value does. And so if I don't change that a value, then nothing happens in the graph. But I want you to know that the graph opens up. Okay, so this a value, positive a value, makes the graph open up and it looks like a U. If I do take that graph, which here's x squared, and I change it to a negative, then I'm changing the a and I'm making it negative. And now my graph opens down, so now it's the red one. So it kind of looks like an N. Okay, so a positive a opens up, a negative a opens down, and the a value is just the first part of the equation. Okay, it's out in front. So if there's no parentheses, it's the first number. And if there are parentheses, it's the number in front. And then let's talk about the k value. So here I have x squared, which is my black line. And if I say x squared plus 2, the plus 2 on the outside of the parentheses, okay, that's my k value, and it makes the graph move up. So if it's a positive k, it moves up, and however many units that is. So this says plus 2, so it went here from 0 and it went up 2, and now that's where the vertex is. So adding a number makes the graph move up. Okay, so then if I subtract a number, here I have my original, which starts here at 0. And if I say minus 4, I'm changing that k value. I'm making it a negative k, and it makes my graph move down. So here it says minus 4, so my graph moved 1, 2, 3, 4 units down. So a number on the outside, the last number outside of the parentheses, if it's positive, it moves up. If it's negative, it moves down. All right, and then your h value on the inside. Okay, so again, here's my original. It starts at 0. And if I say minus 4, it actually makes it move to the positive side. So it moved right. Okay, so we're changing the h. And if my h looks like a negative number, then it moves right. Okay, now the reason for that is I'm really putting a positive number in there. So it's x minus 4. And 4 by itself is positive, but the equation has a minus sign, so x minus 4. And so it moves to the right. And again, this is the number inside the parentheses. Okay. Now, if it looks like I have a positive, what's really happening here, remember this really says x minus h. And so if I say x minus, and then I put in a -2 because I moved left 2, -2, well, two negatives become a positive, so that's why it looks positive. So I changed my h value. If it looks like it's positive, then it really moves left. And so the inside number is the opposite of what you think. Okay? All right, here's where you want to get some paper and write this down. So f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And we just talked about what each of these things does to the graph. So if the a is out in front, if that number is positive, then the graph opens up like a U. If the a value out in front is negative, then the graph opens down like an N. Okay, moving into the inside the parentheses, remember inside the parentheses is where you think the opposite. So if the graph says a positive h, you really move to the left. If the graph says a negative h, you would really move to the right. And then the last number on the outside makes your graph move up and down. So if it's positive, it moves up, and if it's negative, it moves down. Okay, so this page is really important for you to write down. That way you can answer all the rest of the questions. All right, the first question. I'm not actually even going to graph it on here, but I want to know, does it change vertically, horizontally, and does it open up or down? And so my equation is f of x equals x squared plus 4. Couple things here. I want you to think about which part of the equation changed, the a, the h, or the k. And here it's on the outside. So remember, the outside number is your k value. But if you're still not sure, you can go to Desmos. Remember, click on Google Classroom, click on your calculator, and it will take you here. So I'm going to type this in, y equals x squared plus 4, and it looks like my graph moved up. And we're comparing it to the parent function, which is y equals x squared. So there's the original, and my graph moved up 4. So you can always graph this one. And remember, to delete a graph, you just click the X. Okay. So my graph shifted vertically up 4. It didn't shift horizontally, but in its opening up because it's a positive A out in front. All right, you try the next one. F of x equals x minus 2 squared minus 3. Okay, pause it and go to Desmos and graph it and see what happens. All right, if you graph this one, f of x equals x minus 2 squared minus 3. So it looks like my graph moved to the right, and it moved to the right 2 units, and then it moved down 3, which makes sense because the inside is negative. So that means that it moves to the right. That's what we wrote here. So right 2, the outside is moving it up and down, so it moved down 3. And the very front number is positive, so it opens up. All right, last one. over here, f of x equals negative parentheses x plus 1 squared plus 5. Again, graph that one on Desmos and answer the questions about how it moved. Okay, if I were to graph this one, actually just going to change this and put a negative x plus 1 plus 5. Okay, so remember my graph would always start here at 0, and it looks like it moved to the left and it moved up. So it moved left 1 and up 5, and this time my graph opens down. It looks like an N. So vertically it, let's see, it shifted up 5, it shifted left 1, and it opens down. Okay, all right, you're going to practice this by doing part 3 of the lesson, which is a quizzes assignment.